the bones primarily. Because the part of you that is returning to yourself, your higher self, your divine self, your oversoul self, your guardian, your shepherds, pick a name.
What about monad?
About what?
Monad.
The monad?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful too.
Okay.
Is this force that is outside of you, that's returning to you, that is around you, that comes through you constantly, the invisible force activates you, does all of those things. Lets you think you're thinking, wakes you up, lets you sleep. That particular force is making itself apparent now within the consciousness of humanity. And it's making itself apparent in this physical structure, the bone. The monad, the guardians, your shepherds, your high self, your overself, uses the frequency of the space. Space has a frequency in it. Your density is so hard, you do not even consider that space has some frequency. You're running around, bumping into everything, crashing into everything, and think you're thinking, and yelling and screaming and crying and whining. That's the physical form having its issues with its presence, its own self. Doesn't like it, because it's not working out the way it's supposed to be, with the whining attitude. But there's the light force that's using the structure of the bone so you can accommodate the flesh, the sinew, the blood, the organs, so you can have a consciousness experiencing a self, yours. And the frequency within the space is your privilege to understand a breath, what a breath is, what it is, what a breath is, what a breath really is. Because when it goes in, it is really the body having a thankful thought that it can breathe. It lets it out, it's a pleasure. All the other things that are playing with your words and your thoughts, you can put your constructs and blocks and walls, and you can't do anything. You forgot your bones, you forgot your flesh, all your human beings think about is eating and yelling. The appreciation of the breath and the fact that you have a form to be within it is not a concept here. It's not a concept. You take the body for granted and everything, the organs, the heart, the liver, and you say, speak from your heart. Most beings don't even know where it is. It's inside somewhere, just to the left maybe a little bit. The doorway to death is in the heart. It's the upper left ventricle. Auricle. There's a purified blood in there that is life force, and it knows it. And as it pushes out it would be the left auricle out to the system, it knows, that blood knows it's going to die. It has to give itself with the oxygen in it for the rest of the system, and hopefully it can come back and be rejuvenated. Back at the heart again with the breath and come out again. So literally you die daily when that blood is pumped out. The blood just died inside. It has to go back in and get refreshed. You're living a reincarnational experience and you don't even understand that part yet. It is in the breath and your thought and appreciation for everything. Particularly now the auras around your organs. The aura. The auric field around your organs. That's the essence that tells what it would be termed the stem cells, your stem cells, they're still there, to function in this arena within the auric field as a heart. And so it is a heart. The auric fields are common to the kidney area, same thing. The stems are educated, so this is kidney. So you're manifesting your body all the time, instantly, on and off, on and off. Not consciously, because you wouldn't be able to do it. You're not salient enough, number one. You're not quick enough, number two. And you're not respectful enough, number three. The respect has not been inculcated here on your planet for the fact that you even have a bone or a lung, and you can form words within the vehicle called self to push out with the space of your breath, hopefully for manifestation. Hopefully. But you're not even trying to manifest now in your consciousness, the way you beings are walking around. You're not working to manifest. The working to manifest is understanding the appreciation of the self. And not what you think you need, or what you want, All thoughts are out there, and all thoughts have a desire to manifest. And once you lock onto the thought, the manifestation will occur, because the thought itself has a desire to manifest. You're just a vehicle that it's going to work through. That's all. You're not that important to the thought, really. It doesn't care who it comes through, as long as you can get its issue done. So the appropriateness of thought, which has been talked about for eons here, has really not been understood. It has been used to manipulate and control and damage, primarily. Ridicule, not support, not instruct in the proper, what do we term proper in the word was appropriate. The appropriate use of your force. The appropriate use of your force. It is appropriate to drink water for the vehicle. It is not appropriate to drink motor oil for your physical vehicle, your body. It is for a car. That's what appropriateness means. One of the difficulties you have is in the interpretation of words, and the interpretation of the force behind the word being, as the words being pushed by the entity speaking. Entities. Because another aspect you're not really aware of is you start the concept of speech or talk to another person, and then another force comes into your entity, literally another thought, influences you in another direction. Then there's a reaction from that other entity, and it's not what you meant, but it's what it was interpreted. The difficulty here is being in your world. You've heard the term flowers. Your flowers, your chakras are flowers. The petals there. You've heard the word petals of flowers. You've heard those words. You know what they look like when you see a flower. The difficult concept that yourself is the same as a flower. That you're as beautiful as a flower. Why not? The flower displays its beauty, but it has to stay in one place. It's moved by the wind. If it has rain, sun, it stays there. You have the opportunity to move, and you're still a flower. Yet the movement makes you look like a weed, because you don't appreciate the fact that you're a flower. The skeletal structure now is getting introduced to the higher forces that literally control the body and you, that formed you. So, in the avenues of your skeletal structure, because the bone has marrow in it, and that's where the blood is created, which is the life force of the spirit. The bone marrow has avenues, passages, tunnels, curves. And each tunnel, curve, passage relays frequency to the blood. It relays the frequency. for the needs of the body. So as the blood is produced and it's beginning its process to enlighten, literally enlighten the body, first it's a spiritual force, tries for enlightenment, pushes for enlightenment. So it goes through the skeletal structure, seeing what it needs to be, well, not seeing, accumulating what needs to be accomplished, you say taking notes, this needs, we're not going to use the word energy. We're going to use the word redemption. This portion of the skeletal structure needs redemption. This portion of the skeletal structure needs penance. This portion of the skeletal structure needs appreciation. This portion of the skeletal structure has been severely damaged in what we call the receiving of thought from others, the interpretation and the modification, so it's a gentle interpretation. The middle part of your spine is picking that one up. Right behind the heart chakra, just to the lower right side. That's where these negative entities now are going to be coming into to influence you. You feel it. Important part now is to tune into what is termed the grace of God for your magical awakening of the crystalline structure, which is your bone, so it can pick up the correct harmonic that your oversoul self, divine monad, wants you to understand, appreciate, recognize, and work with, for the benefit of the consciousness of humanity. Not the physical structure, not the flesh, the consciousness. And once the consciousness has woken up within and without for all, and within for the self, then the recognition of the allness perceiving individual selves can move into a harmonic relationship. The group of cells will move in unison to a harmony. Much like a marching band. But you won't be playing any instruments. Your skeletal structure will be singing the song of your experiences. What you have done, what you have accomplished. Your bones will sing, literally. They'll ring, and the ringing will project images of your doings. That's the display. That's why nothing can be hidden. It'll ring, it'll show. There's TV screens, as you say. You'll see it. You'll feel it. You'll know you did it. The accomplishment will be there, the acceptance of it, what is termed your own acknowledgement of it. The good and the other. And when you see the other, you'll be given a chance to correct it, to modify yourself, to adjust yourself, to clean yourself. As these things begin to occur, those that are going to become cleaner, more shiny, are going to attract the other. And this is where the shiny will not have anything to do with the other anymore. They'll put it aside. Because you're going to start recognizing the filth, and you won't want to have anything to do with it. It'll be displayed there. It'll smell, actually. It'll smell. Worse than the body decomposing, human body. That's a terrible smell. Don't want that one. Because what's left is all the evil that couldn't leave. So you're here now to educate your forces to create the higher vibration. So the reciprocity with spirit can be an equal enjoyment. The spirit doesn't have to suffer because of your filth. You've cleaned yourself and you and spirit can enjoy one another. You know what you're doing. Your blood actually becomes more crystalline. It enjoys running. And the heart enjoys a systematic pump. Not over extreme one way or over extreme the other. It knows itself. It knows what it's doing. It's pumping a spiritual force through the body. And it likes doing that. And it enjoys doing it. And it sees the recognition of it, what's it called, within the experience of its appreciation for its performance. The being in the heart. The heart. There's a cave there. The hidden self. This is what wants to come out from one's now. The inner speak, the inner appreciation, because bone is going to start speaking to bone. You go into flesh-to-flesh part. You're going to start moving to the bone-to-bone part. And that's a different concept, because the bone will vibrate the bone in one, and it'll vibrate the bone in another, and there'll be no need for conversation. It'll move beyond telepathy, it'll be moved into a song, and then the conversation becomes more like poetry, more as a melody of not convincing or coercing or controlling, but a melody of appreciation and seeing the beauty of the sky, and the distance between the sky and the trees, and the distance between the birds and the trees, and who's flying the bird, and who grew the tree, and who's looking from out within the tree. These understandings would become to be noticed and appreciated, because it'll heal the body. It'll heal the body. The body loves the space, loves the sky, loves the earth, because it's between it. And it's using the forces between these realms, and it knows it. That the consciousness within the condition of the body does not know it. It takes it for granted. It doesn't appreciate the water, it doesn't appreciate the air, the body, the human consciousness. Does not appreciate the water, does not appreciate the air, does not appreciate the fact that you have an earth, and does not appreciate the fact that you have fire, unless you need it to keep you warm, unless you need the water for your thirst, unless you need your planet to walk on, unless you need the air to breathe. It's the whining attitude in the human condition that has caused this, not the appreciation for the fact that you have it. And everyone's heard of karma and reincarnation. We're trying to prove it doesn't exist. You're living it. Your karma. Everyone is. Some beings are born in jungles. Some beings are born in frigid territory. Some beings are born in beautiful places. Why? Who did that? Who put you there? Or did you choose that? Your wisdom. Your greater wisdom. You chose your parents. That most people can't accept that fact. How did they got these parents? That's a common tradition. It's common. Because the knowledge of the self is not there. Appreciation for it. That is soon to change. Yet the catharsis needed to cause that change won't be appreciated, won't be understood. They've gone over the cliff now. They've gone over the cliff. When it hits the bottom, there'll be some that wake up and some that won't. A lot of beings are having the desire to leave the body now. To, we'll say, quit the system, so to speak. That you can't quit the system. You're in the system. You're part of the system. When you come to find out you are the system, dramatic changes will take place within your consciousness of self. And the difficulties is finding out where you are, when you are, what you are, and how you are. How did you get here? And how did you know you're going to wake up the next day? If there was a next day. Some of you, within the human condition, are being kept here for a reason. And what you call this adventure is because the demonic forces are aware of the spiritual truth. Yet, the arrogance of it, the evil I speak of, and the desire there too to want to know better, to learn better. Those that fell long ago so want to get back. If they're climbing over everyone else trying to get back, and that's not going to happen, that won't happen. And part of their joy, the evil one's joy, is to send negativity to see what is, how do you like it type thing. When they get you out of that is a prayer. You say a prayer, pick one, or mantra. The mantra is your name, because that's what you came in with, and your birthday. The number of your birthday and your name, the letters, they have tones. You run them through your spine, and you will find out where your bell is, who the bell ringer is. And when that thing happens, that bell ringing happens, you'll be free. But not until then. And the process is freeing yourself from the thoughts of others and their confusion. You don't need to say they're confused. It's obvious. You need to become unconfused yourself. Unconfused. There are only 4 elements. 5 if you include wood. Yet wood knows of the other 4. And the other 4 are individualized within themselves as unique. Yet the wood is unique with the 4 combined. So there's a secret in the wood. In nature herself, in the forest, in the trees, in the green, which hasn't been studied, pretty much. Your trees are pumps, taking carbon dioxide, produce oxygen, help you here. The pumps, they know what they're doing. And the trees can actually see you, and they know what your turmoil is. If you could talk to a tree, it could tell you how to work yourself. You hold it, you touch it. It would straighten out your meridians for you. It would get the lymph flowing correctly because it knows how to squeeze the sap up into itself. It'll show you how to do it. It knows how to do it. It knows how to do it. So in this juncture, in what is termed the movement of consciousness, the contemplation of the trees, the contemplation of the wood, of the vines, those growing things, that contemplation within the self will give you an idea of how fluid you are, how free you are, and how much knowledge you truly have. And then the appreciation for the water would take effect, The appreciation for the earth would take effect. Appreciation for the air would take effect. And appreciation for the warmth of the fire would take effect. Because the trees know all of this, and you forgot. Yet you're in the middle of the elemental system, and you're supposed to be in command of it, in control of it, and you're not. You're at the mercy of it. Because you forgot who you were, how you were, and how to be. This is what is called the awakening as you live through it. The becoming enlightened. Overcoming your death daily, because you die daily. Your yesterday is gone. That being is done. Have the memory of it and the experience of it and the wisdom of what not to do and what to do and what felt good and what didn't. That's it. That's all you've got. And you start over again. I take a close look at the physical body, your body, particularly exactly at 6 o'clock in the evening. And see what the timing of the sun tells you, just before 6. See and feel what it thinks of you just before it goes down. Just before it passes the horizon, sunset. And then you move under the influence of the moon's energy. Think and feel what the sun thinks of you that day, what you've done that day. And the feeling will be not from the sun so much, but from what you didn't do. And you're going into this evening with the moon's forces for the emotional understanding of it. The sun presented, you utilized. The realization of that occurs at 6 o'clock in the evening, just before 6, millisecond actually, before 6, where you get your approval or not for your day. And it's a self-reflection. It's not a judgment thing from the sun. It's a self-reflection. And the emotional comes from the moon's forces. It's her turn here. And she's the one that corrects because she rules the waters and you're 67-70% water. To make the ocean stand straight up if she desires. The path of God is through the water. That's written. That is known. Literally. And you are 70% water. So he has an easy pathway there, if you let it happen. Because God is not outside you. He is in the water. And the fire is there in the water too. That's the hydrogen. That's the clue. That's the clue. You look at it as a magnetic attraction, electrical bonding, it isn't. It's not. It's a companionship and a bliss and a union. It's the grace of water. It's an acknowledgement. Two hydrogen working for one water, and there's an agreement there. One oxygen, rather. An agreement, and they like it when they join. Because they can have the experience of ice and water and steam. 3 dimensions in one. And there are beings in there that know that. They enjoy that movement. The human condition now is going to start experiencing it. That's why you're going through your colds all of a sudden. Your body gets really cold and it's not cold outside. And then you're really hot. And it's cold outside. It's the water talking to you. Actually, it's the spiritual force working through your water to get you activated, get the bones working so it can do something. Because when the bones shiver and get cold, the little pressure in there squeezes the red blood cells and they become stem cells again. And then they can regrow a new organ, any organ actually. You already know that scientifically. But your stem cells you're creating yourself when you do that. They're cold, your bones get cold and they squeeze you and you have to get them warm quick and you're shaking. You're getting stem cell conversion there, which is a rejuvenation for the body. New organ structure, and it knows where it needs to go. The system of the self has been a struggle with beings. But you listen to inside and it'll tell you. Not from the outside, inside. It'll question, it'll ask, it'll seek, it'll petition, and it's up to you in what you call the physical structure to understand the petitioning inside. Most beings don't understand the petitioning until they're ill or really sick. Then they petition. There you start. It's a constant force of prayer that your oversoul self, divine self, cloak self, guardian self, perfect self is trying to inculcate within the feeling of the structure. And then you've got to go beyond perfection because nothing's perfect except God. So there's lightness there. There's off the perfection. Keeps you in your own existence. The perfection is God's. Always. Divine force, whatever name you desire to put on it, names are limiting. They do not serve really the greater purpose. It's all a flow, really, pretty much. Yet you have a name, and you've chose that name for a particular reason. And because it was to take you through the alphabet, literally the letters of your name, in a musical sequence, so you could understand the beauty and the joy of yourself and who you really are. That's the true magic, because once that happens, everything falls around you, comes to you. It's not a quest for. It's that those that want to know come. But now this is a separation going on. Not everyone's being called. No, they're not. There's this stop. The worthiness hasn't come forth out of one yet. The worthiness, the self-worthiness, which is that big issue that's going to be shown here. The concepts of gift and giving and receiving and taking crash. The magical portion of yourself has been so forgotten that the awakening process, if it happens quickly, can be painful. Your pelvic area is really a magical cauldron. That's where you boil and steam everything and bring it up for the flowers of yourself. It's a push down. You keep adding fluids and concepts into the cauldron of your pelvic. It boils there, and it comes up, be distributed through the chakras and the personalities within the chakras so they can handle it and understand what this thing is supposed to be doing. The symbolism has been in your religious texts. You've taken the symbolism outside of the structure of the body and placed it out here. Build a temple here, then we go to the temple. Your body is the temple. You don't have to take anything out of it and put it out here. You get in your body, get in your temple, become the Buddha one, know what you're doing, thank your bones, appreciate the fact you have a self that can play with concepts, understand what they are, and don't expect to be appreciated by anyone. Appreciate yourself. Appreciate the air, the earth, the fire, and the water. And I think you'll find your day change. Especially if you drink your water, every sip, with appreciation and thankfulness, and knowing that the clarity of the water is going to be within you, and therefore your vision within inside you should be clear. There's clear water, you're looking through the clarity of yourself, and you'll understand the importance of water. Because it's really the water that does the speaking, nothing else. It's emotion. And the only reason it causes speech is emotion. So 70% of you has an idea of what it wants to say, yet the rest of you is arguing with it. It's a shutdown in the physical, the structure of the Earth's plane. Earth will turn back the water. Big enough. You're Earth. You're walking on it. Yet you have the wisdom of the temple within you, and humanity has forgotten that. You go to your preachers to preach, and preach, and preach. But nobody does anything. And you're seeing that now. That's why all of your religions are crashing. They're not supporting anyone. The structure of religion is not supporting anyone. The concept of religion, with the belief of the truth of it within the self, will support. But not your buildings. The pelvic area is the foundation for your spiritual truth within the body. It is your cauldron, it is the pot you boil things in. Your two legs are the grounding mechanisms. This allows you to have permission from the center of the planet to work with the mysteries of the cauldron, as they do down there in the center here with all your fires. You bring it up in your little self and you cauldronize it, and then you walk around trying to become an ascended master. But first you've got to descend to ascend. And then you've got to get the rest of yourselves that's coupled you down here to agree with the ascension. Because there's so much guilt in the self that it wants to accomplish things. It hides. You've got to coax it out. And too many people, when it gets to that part of coaxing it out, instead of having it move within the physical structure called life as it is in the system, they will play this suicide game. It does not work. It's not a good idea. Don't do it. It is not you even thinking it, actually. It's the other one pushing you. So you center, drink water, thank God for being God. Whatever name you want to put on the being, or beingnesses, or isnesses, or not. Because it is a not. It's in a non-existent place. All existence comes out of that. There's only one that knows how to work it from the not. That allows what everybody else thinks is an isness. This is a very delicate process, yet a very serious process, a dangerous process at the same time. Moving into the holiness of yourself. It's very much different than sacred. So much so that death is at the door. Both going into it and coming out of it. Because you might not come out of it. It's not so much a gigantic flash. It's just there. It calls you into it. You expand into it. It pulls you actually. And not frontwards, it pulls you backwards so you can't see. So you express. You see what's in front as you being pulled back. But you'll be instructed in the appropriateness of looking. Because some of these sights aren't very pretty, yet what comes out there is the beauty of it. Back there, it's not very pretty. Back there, I mean behind you as you're being pulled into the force of the knot. Because you'll see everything else that is not pretty. And it desires to make things pretty. That's why it's called perfection. That the tools that were available haven't been used correctly. Everybody went so fast. And now you're in it. The last structure to be educated in the human condition is the bone. That's the last structure to be educated in the human condition. And then the bone moves into crystal. It's what these crystal skulls are for, or what the result of is. The being doesn't need to be there. When the bones are crystal, it transmits the force through it. And those that are able can pick it up, those that aren't, no. This is how refined it's going to be. You're going to find the masters not so much coming out anymore. They're going to become sit back reclusing, enjoying themselves now. Praying for those that are suffering, yes. But glad in their own right that they're not in the suffering. They know what it is because they've done it. They don't want to do that anymore. They don't need to. It's the great curl that must be undertaken as you come up through the heart chakra, up to the throat chakra. And before you speak and before you move that force up to the head where you think you're thinking, you need to curl it underneath the sternum and come back up. Because you've got to appreciate the heart that you're even moving up that far, and thankfulness you got that far. Take a breath there. You curl, you actually go back inside you, underneath the sternum, come back up. And push back toward the spine. And be careful what you say. Humanity now, in this year, 2014, is literally going through that process of living through the flesh, muscle, sinew, to the bone, and the appreciation of the fact that there is a bone, number one, and you can communicate with it, number two, and number three, it can communicate with you and you can hear it, and you know what to do. You'll even know how to move in space correctly, how to move up for space, so you don't affect someone else's space. And you start seeing beings trying to move into your space because they feel something different. Because you're working your bone and you're moving your body from outside of you. And you participate a little bit in the end, and you're seeing three levels, three different realities, and you're participating in them in a way that you can be of assistance to ones that need assistance. Because if you don't help someone on this planet, You're not going anywhere. You're going to be here until you help someone. That's just the way it is. Because that's the only way you have a sense of worth at all. By helping something, an animal, a creature, or someone when they need it. Not to do what is done to flatter yourself and comment about how you did such a good thing. Not that. New laws are coming down. They're becoming, they're being activated now. All the mediums on your planet are getting hit. Every one of them. And the other magical understanding is everyone's a medium. They haven't been trained and taught how to really pull the appropriate force in. And which one is yours, which one isn't. Those are the things. But these are the lessons now. So the pelvis and the bones. Stones, I've mentioned. Rose quartz. You need a piece at least in your house. It has a profound effect on the subconscious of the brain. The back rear portion of your brain back here. The first part that came up. That structure within the head has an adoration, literally, an adoration for the color of the rose quartz. Because it is up at the back of the head, yet it knows, it remembers it had come up past the heart and the beauty of the pink there. So it remembers that. Yet the human structure, the form, that color, is not thought of often. So the rose quartz stone, and it's a mineral, it affects the structure, the resonance there. Back portion of your brain appreciates that color. It doesn't see the color. Not what I mean. It doesn't see the color. You see the color. But the resonance of that color affects the rear portion of your brain here, right at the top of the spine, as it comes up at the head. It's the resonance of it. It knows what it is. And when you get that resonance connected there, it'll automatically sink to the heart. It'll drop back down. The heart will be thankful that this portion of the structure remembers it. It remembers its aura. So there's a joy there. Two joys in there. The beings in there. Not the beings, the structure literally has a consciousness. And it likes to be recognized occasionally. And it does that with the stones and the minerals and the wood and the trees and the air and the fire, the elements. That's your real home. If you worked it right, you know what you were doing. The health of the body wouldn't be an issue. Yeah. So the energy that's coming now is starting to move through the bones from all sides. Up the feet, from the sides of your left side and your right side, from in front of you, from behind you. Now, as you start beginning to do this, there are demonic forces around also. You've heard of them. You've heard the names. As they see you opening, they'll want to push in. Now you have to be careful. Don't accept everything. Remember the name, yours. And remember any guardians' names that you have, or any mantras you call when you feel an influence that tries to move into your pillow, I will call it, because you're moving into your auric field and you're coming out like a big pillow now. And you have others that want to maybe lay on your cushion. Well, establish your cushion first and have them establish their own cushion, and then maybe you can put your cushions together. But get your cushion first. There's going to be a lot of this waiting and wanting others to do it for them. You got that going on in your religious circles. Everyone's in this process of waiting for the word something to happen, to return. You don't want it. Not what you think it is. So procedurally, in your manner, it would be appropriate to have a small cutout of a skeleton, bone skeleton, and look at it. Just look at it. And eventually, as you look at it, you'll see within that skeleton, just be an overlay on it, how the blood is moved, just in the skeletal structure. Just a skeleton. It'll give you an idea. And then you allow yourself to imagine flesh coming over. Just looking at the skeleton still, see. And then you'll see how you did it to yourself. How you formed and manipulated, or tried to manipulate anyway, your body within the womb. Everyone does. Until you were told not to. You forgot that conversation. A drawing of a skeleton. Not to bring you memory of death, but it's what supports you. And just looking at it, appreciate that. Then the appreciation is reflected within you, and your bone won't feel it, will know it, what you're really thinking. What you are trying to convey to it, the bone, of your appreciation for it. Because it has consciousness, not just you thinking. If we can get to that level, then your human condition will change pretty dramatically, quickly, matter of fact, almost overnight. Because you'll start refining yourself. You're already starting to do that when you're doing this. That's a memory of refinement. And sometimes you're aware when you're doing it, and sometimes you're not. But the part that's doing it is aware of what it's for. And that's appropriateness in the manner. Do you have any questions?
Yes. I think I understand something, but I'd like to check it with you. I never realized that space had a frequency. Frequency is electricity. Electricity is in the air we breathe. That's what keeps us alive. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
It actually moves subatomic.
Subatomic. Ah.
It's a vibration before vibration. It's
So it's electric. It's the electricity.
no, it's electric magnetic, but it's pre-electric. What causes just before the hit that creates the sound.
Ah.
Okay, it's right there. If you hit an anvil with a steel hammer, you hear a ring, yeah?
Yes.
Bang! So you know you're going to have that sound that come out of there. You know it if you've done it before. But just prior to that, there's an anticipation of that sound coming out. There's a knowledge that that's what's going to happen. And the requirement is the anvil and the hammer for that sound to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, within the system of the body, you don't need to do that. It's that anticipation that does it. It's coming out of the knot. Huh? And then the electricity.
The unmanifest, which is the knot is the unmanifest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just before. It's that sequence. And everyone has that manifestation power just before. But it's in the solar plexus. You've got to hold it till it builds. And too often there's a leak. That's in your system. Basically the leak is the greed thing. That's greed. That's the word for it, but it's even worse than that. Greed. That's a sickness that's despicable. But you don't understand the perversion in it when you're talking manifestation here. When you're in the solar plexus, you don't even want to get into that area, that greed thing. When you're in the solar plexus, and just before that hammer strikes, there's your manifestation. You have that thought right there. It's in there. The package is right there. And if you let it come out without hitting the anvil, you've got it. You don't need to hit the anvil. That's the thing. It's just there. In your process of learning, you beings have gone this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They got to hit this to do this. The tone is already there. You just need to tune into it. Electrically, it's there. It's a white sparkle. And once it hits you, it just hits you. It's fast. You can see the sparkles in the air. Indeed, sometimes. Mm-hmm. That's it. Those are those. And when you get into that thing, they come rushing in. And it's there. A thought will mess it up. You have to be in your temple. You have to be in your Ark of the Covenant. Literally, the Ark of the Covenant. That gold little chamber in there with the angel's wings and things, it was descriptive because that's you. That is you. That's what the solar plexus represents. That's what the rib cage represents. That's what the bars of your legs represents. That's what the arms represents. You are that Ark. We can have direct communication with whatever you want to. It's here. Why you're not is because someone told you couldn't. That's why. So you're learning now. You don't need to go into a church building to talk to God. You can talk to God wherever you are. And you're always doing it 24 hours a day, whether you know it or not. That's why things are working out the way they are. That's what you and your petitions, and this is your answers. Well, now that we've gone from within to without, we being those that are trying to get the teachings down here, get to within first. The without's already taken care of. It's already done. You can see it. Your within isn't done yet.
Because nobody knows about it.
Yeah.
I mean, they forgot.
Yeah. Okay. They got caught in the wrong flowers. They got caught in viewing the wrong... No, well, not wrong. They chose to view...
exterior flowers.
Yeah, instead of their own beauty and seeing it.
Yeah.
Or machines, or these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's the fear thing in there, too. Because flowers are very delicate. And they can be damaged quickly. So you have to know how to build your protection and your flowers and all of that. You don't really have to build protection because the protection is there if you know what you're doing. So you're in the learning process now. Everyone's living their death. You're going through it. You're alive. You're going to be dead. You're going to be. Because you don't know how to ascend. The only being that ever left this place and went straight up was Elijah. Everyone else checked out. Including Jesus. He had to go down into what is called there to get stuff done and all that other thing. And that happened long before we even had this 15,000 years stuff. 20,000, whatever. The nuances are amazing. To assist beings to lift and to elevate, to understand their own divinity, and they say they want to, yet they don't. It's an argument all the way. All the way.
Because they're afraid? Why?
It's because there's a fear and self-judgment of their worth.
Oh.
Most beings, as they grow up, a lot of them, have been put down by their parents, especially the last generation or two. There's been no parenting. The current generation of children now don't even know how to parent because their parents didn't teach them. You can see it. You can see it. And that's why there's all this struggle thinking. This is
So what's the answer?
Well, the answer... The answer is going to be some serious prayers are going to be needed. The gurus and the monks and the Buddhists The only thing that's going to fix this is a spiritual force. And when the spiritual force shows up, nobody's going to like it, because it is a spiritual force. It cleans things. It cleans. It has not a question, doesn't ask a question, doesn't ask permission, nothing. And that's what's approaching. You have to prepare your temple, folks, with inside the self, so there's a sense of safety within the self. An acknowledgement of power within the self, a safe sense. And that's going to come from the appreciation of your bones, particularly in the guardian flavor, because that's what your ribs do. They actually encapsulate you like this as a protection. Like this. I mean, your hands coming around in front of you as shields. That's what the ribs do for your delicate process. Literally. And when you're in your spiritual mode, you ask for shields. You'll feel shields come up in your chest, your ribs. You feel it. And all of those robes that you see your Catholic priests wearing, they're there for a reason. They're designed for a reason. Even the hats are designed for a reason. They're put on at a certain time, taken off at a certain time, because they work with the energy, the spiritual forces. Channels with them, comes down, comes in that way. The being in there knows it. They've done it enough.
What are the robes for?
The robes that handle the energy so it moves and flows, and it also gives directions and permissions and chastisements to the evil ones. No? They won't go near some of those signatures because they know what'll happen.
Signatures?
I'm talking about the negative entities, the demons. They see some symbols. So like some of these, they won't go. Yeah, they won't go near it because they know who's there. But if you don't have your understanding of your symbols, and your symbol's your name and your birthday overlaid on it. If you don't have your appropriate symbols for yourself, you identify, they're going to come in and try to mess. They're there, and the thing, you see those little black balls flying around along with the silver ones? That's what they are. The interferers. They want to get into consciousness, which is your body. They have consciousness, but they want to get into your consciousness body so they can have the appropriate ability to pray, because prayer is what their ticket is. And they don't know how to do it correctly. You have to do it within the system, within yourself. You can't do it riding someone else's, which is what they do, and is what some of the things are. You have a group of beings that go steal prayers, actually, and try to present it as their own. That goes on.
But how did they get to be demons? They were clear consciousness once, weren't they?
Yeah, it's a renegade thing. Do it my way. They hear them, no. Oh.
How do they... How everyone has to go into the next dimension, so how do they...
Well,
what do we do for them?
That's going to be the difficult part. That's going to be the difficult part. There's some real issues in what you call the spiritual realm about the ownership of power. Whose is what? And that issue is being played out by everyone on the planet now. You're all in part of it. One aspect of it or the other. And what you're going to find out is there's only probably two sides. And you have to maintain the balance between the middle of these two sides while you're physical. Appropriate behavior while you're physical, then you'll have the opportunity to and be in the side that you desire to be in. Your desire. Not one put in a place where it is against your desire. So you'll have opportunity for accomplishment. We're going to an issue where everyone's looking for a miracle, proof, real proof, what they call real proof. Yet that's a very dangerous line to be walking. I've come in contact with many that, even in other places, realms, they want that, looking for it, proof. They'll never get it. They should know better. So they're looking for it down here for proof, within the structure here. And they're causing ones down here being on planet Earth, to ask for that, the proof. Miracle. Give me a miracle. So I can believe. But that's already been addressed years ago. And if ones don't understand that that's already been addressed years ago, then they're new beings that haven't been educated correctly, and that's their problem. They snuck in here because everyone had a level of education about the force term God here. At some level, it's there. It's a set. And there won't be any argument on when this one moves. When this hits, this force, this construct of enlightenment hits, individuals are going to be so involved with their own self in the accumulation of what is termed accomplishment that they'll need to sit a while before they can or even be willing to go help another. Because to be willing to help another, you've got to go back where you came from. And you look, and most don't want to go back where they came from. Don't want to go down there. You've heard of beings have near-death experiences. They die and they look at their body. They don't want to go back in that body. It's ugly. That is the truth. So when you're up there, accomplishment thing, you look and you will not want to do that. You won't. And you'll be in there, and then whatever happens with them, you won't even care. Because you'll be getting instruction, and when the next instruction comes, you'll go out and you'll proceed to do it. It won't be a judgment thing. It won't be a thing. You'll know the choices and who chose what and how
but
you choose.
You're still in the body during this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You'll know how to pray for them. You'll know how to send a secret thought here to
From
that.
The heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, the sternum.
The sternum
Moves over to the heart. The sternum's the anvil. It's flat like an anvil. The sternum.
Every once in a while, little secrets slip out. Okay.
And that fleshy part there, that's the one.
Okay.
That's the flicker. So if you can get that thing moving, you know it's done. And you be careful where you flicker it, because that has an effect. That is authority coming out of there. That's what it's for.
Okay, can I change the subject a little bit? I always thought that I thought. Now you say we don't think, but thoughts come into us. Where do they come from?
Right now they're coming. We
talked about the four places. But
human condition accepts thoughts through this antenna of the skull here. Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, you should accept it from the back. Your back.
Okay. Behind the heart or lower?
Well, actually, behind the shoulder blades. There's 7 chakras there. That's where you store your karma. That's where karma's been stored because it hasn't been fixed. So you feel it in the back, and it goes through those chakras there. There's 14 of them, 7 on each side. It goes through here. those come around the rib cage, yeah. You contemplate. Yeah. And then you do. This stuff is influence stuff. You need to pick it up from the space that's around you. The beings that are hugging you. Your auric field. That's the safe place. Your layers of your aura. Pull that in. Pull that in.
Oh, and you only take the appropriate thoughts.
Right. You pull.
But these thoughts are the result of all humans thinking? Are they from other dimensions? Are they from other...
No, it's a river.
It's like mass consciousness?
Yes.
Oh.
Right now you're moving into mass consciousness. That's where all thought is.
Oh,
now it's the appropriate use of how do you want to tap into that or just let it move.
Okay, that explains it, but it wasn't clear.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Well, the physical body itself, the body itself, not the being within it, but the body itself is becoming sensitized to different antenna within itself. It's really picking up different frequencies.
Yes.
And it's being trained at it, but I'm not sure of it yet. So now, as it comes to, if you're going to take it through the crown, you must take it exactly straight down. Have you seen king's crowns, how the literal gold crown on someone's head, how the tops are bent out like that?
Yeah.
Okay. It should be up. So you get the apex coming down here. It's bent like this, so everything else can get in there.
Oh.
It should be up.
And this, he's got his hands spread out, like open. Yeah.
Yes. It needs to become to a point. The Fool and the Tarot card has a pyramid above his head. That's where your clear thought should come from. So then when it extends down, it comes down the side of you, and that's where it is. It's a straight up thought from your sternum and solar plexus, straight up through your sixth seal, between your eyes, right up to the top of your head, to a pyramid that sits above you. That's your clear antenna. Anything that comes in from the sides of that, to the left or the right side of your head or in the front, is not a clear thought. You're picking up consciousness that floats around that pyramid. Can't get into the pyramid because that's what you're allowed to have is your clear. You see. So it'll hit the sides of the pyramid and come down, but it'll still get in your crown because it's dripping down there. The other crown is bent over. They're open.
So a channel like Arthur is trained to accept only that point then.
Yes, and then that pyramid will drop down in here. Overlay this pyramid of your soul, and it'll blend with it, and then things start changing in you. Even your body will think differently. Your arm you will actually feel your arm and hand thinking. A thought will be in there. Yeah, that it wants to express. The hand wants to express. I don't mean with your finger movements and things. I mean the hand will want to do something. It knows it has that ability, literally. It'll move into the hand, and the hand will know it's moving. Yet part of you think you're moving the hand, but the hand is letting itself move and be moved, and it knows how to move itself. You got many different pieces to yourself that you haven't been aware of. Each layer of your auric field has a control of a certain part of your body. The thought hits it, you move, whether you know it or not. If it hits that aura.
The auras don't relate to the levels of aura, don't relate to the chakras?
Yes, they do. They relate to the chakras, but they're also antennas. They accept things that the chakras want to understand.
I see.
They're like vacuums. Yeah, they open up like this, yeah, but they come from the spine. The chakras come from the spine out. So you get the force should be in the spine first. Get all your bones working, this your manifestation, hit the anvil, and then you see how you did it. Well, you might have to adjust the anvil a little bit, see if this one works. So you just try it until you see how it works with you. Right now, people see how it works with you is by coercing, manipulating, controlling, using words to get people to do things. You're using language. Right now, you need to use yourself. This is the next part, not the.
Wow. Okay, one more thing. You said that the blood is the life force of the spirit. Does that relate back to the frequency that we breathe in with the breath that goes into the blood?
No, the breath is part of the breath is the spirit. Yes, when you bring it in, that is the part that will go over and caress the bone, squeeze it actually, make the blood.
You call that the Holy Spirit?
Yes.
breath is the Holy Spirit?
Yes.
Oh my God. I'm going to start doing prana breathing.
That's in your books. Prophesies to the wind, call the breath for the bones.
Ramtha. Okay. Jesus. Okay, hold on.
I think Ramtha knew what he was talking about.
Macy wanted to, okay. I don't want to put anything here that we can't broadcast. Okay. Okay, crystalline structure. So, are you saying that within our lifetime, our bones are going to turn to what, silicon or something, or is
Crystal.
it just like what?
Transparency, like crystal.
Within our lifetime.
Could be. Yeah, possible. Actually, some people might be able to do it this year. If this happens. We'll have to see what happens.
So
but that pyramid that sits above your head,
yeah,
that is crystal.
Oh.
It is crystal. And it wants to drop down to sit in with the pyramid right here.
But crystal not in density, crystal in another dimension.
Crystal color, yeah. Looks like a solid water. But not water. It's a fluid. It's a...
But we're not talking about third density crystal. We're talking about a different dimensional crystal, right?
Yes, but it would look the same. It'll feel like it. It'll feel like crystal. The bones are going... You ever hit crystal glass?
Yes.
Okay. Your bones are moving in there to hold that sort of frequency. Not that fine crystal that's going to shatter stuff. But it's going to elevate its ability to hold frequency. And to do that, it changes its structure toward crystalline.
In our lifetime.